So it's April the 17th, 2017. And this is my first video about Z-Ware. About a lot of things. But I find it rather interesting of how far I've come from a kid from Philadelphia whose goal was to own a house with a central AC unit. My father didn't have an air conditioner in his bedroom, and neither did I. And my mom did. But man, it was hot in Philly when I was growing up. I used to practice in a really small bedroom. I remember growing up in Philly, I would play Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, the third movement, on my record player. And every single time the scherzo came, I would get out of bed and I would play air bass. That was fun. It was a really small bedroom. I could barely fit my bass in when I practiced. And I didn't know how to practice when I was in my late teens. It wasn't until I graduated from Curtis. But yeah, this is a day in my life. I had an incredible Monday teaching at UTSA. I absolutely love my students. I'm very blessed. I've been teaching for 30 years. I used to teach privately, but I'll go into that at another time. But I wanted to talk about the person I've become and why I became an entrepreneur at 52. I went to the conservatory called the Curtis Institute of Music. And it's an incredible school. But when I took auditions, man, I would get so nervous. So I won some auditions and I lost a lot. But I didn't know how to deal with rejection when I lost auditions. I don't want to blame my parents. I just didn't have the right mental frame to be able to understand that you got to just keep taking auditions and keep trying. So I won Charleston when I was 24, principal bass, and that was okay, but I wasn't happy there. And then I won San Antonio, and I've been here for 30 years. The orchestra is incredible, and I am very lucky to be around so many incredible players. It's truly one of the highlights of my life, is to be in the orchestra. We have a fantastic hall called the Tobin Center here in San Antonio. But I wanted to talk about Z-Ware. I got the name Z, which is my last name, Zesserman, the first letter, and wear, as in wearables. My this guy, Caesar, who's my silkscreener, came up with the name, and it stuck. I rather like it a lot. But Zero started when I was lost. And I mean lost. All my life, my teachers, when I was in high school and certainly in college, kept saying the same thing. Steve, just keep doing what you're doing and everything will work out. That was my life. And something happened. It didn't. And I lost my job. I showed up one day because the orchestra committee said for the musicians to show up, and we went up to the front door of the Majestic Theater and we started trying to get in, and they locked us out. They wouldn't let us in. And for the first time, I was scared because I was trying to figure out, how am I going to take care of myself? How am I going to make money? At that time, I was married, and I was looking down Houston, and all of a sudden, somebody took my picture and put it on the front cover of the Express News the next day that said, "Dejected San Antonio Symphony bassist sits out front of the Majestic Theater during the musicians' lockout." And everywhere I went that day and a few days afterwards, people kept saying, "Don't I know you? You look familiar." I think that paper sold 250,000 copies. What a way to become famous. But I had no idea how to make money. The orchestra filed for Chapter 11, and I remember I went to the federal courthouse and I watched it go into bankruptcy. And I just couldn't believe it. I was certainly in shock, but I didn't know how to even understand what was going on. But at the end of a week or two, it was over, and the orchestra went dark. So I had to figure out how to make money, because all I knew is if I played my instrument, I would make money. But I didn't have a plan B. I started thinking about what I like to do. I thought about, selling insurance. I failed at that miserably. And I thought I would maybe start teaching, but in truth, I thought if the reason why I came to San Antonio was for the San Antonio Symphony, not to teach. So I didn't want to play in any other orchestras, any of the community orchestras, any of Mid-Texas or any of the other orchestras around, because that wasn't the reason why I came to San Antonio. I came to play in the orchestra that I loved, but it was no longer. It was no longer performing, and I wasn't getting a paycheck. So I thought, well, my two sisters in California are doing ad specialties. And I was like, man, I wonder. So I asked my sister if she might be able to help me think about opening up t-shirt store here in San Antonio. And it took me a few days to put together these thoughts in my head. How am I going to ask her? Because in truth, I really didn't know what I was even about to ask her because I didn't know the business. But lo and behold, after getting the nerve up, I called her up and I said, I was wondering if you can help me. I'd like to open up a t-shirt company here in San Antonio. Here, let me open that. I like the light. And her response was no. And I was like, what? Wait, what? No? Why? And she thought it was impossible to be able to train me from California, living here in San Antonio. She was at the end, actually, of her career. She decided she wanted to retire at 50, and we were just approaching that age, I think. And I think she wanted to slow down because she was quite successful. Both of my sisters were enormously successful in advertising specialties. So I was pretty lost when she turned me down. And I did something that every Jewish boy would do. Although I became a Christian at 21. But I did the only thing I could think of. I called my mother. And I asked her to talk to Debbie. And she did. And 30 minutes later, I called her, and she said she would do it. If it wasn't for my mother, you know, how long it's been? 13, 15, I can't even remember how many years. But my relationship with my sister is unbelievable. I absolutely adore her. I love her. I respect her. Both she and my brother-in-law are two of the most powerful, influential people in my life. And I could never thank them for giving me this opportunity. And also their mentoring, their friendship, their love, their greatness, sharing with me daily. I think I talk to my sister 3-4 times a day. Who knows? It's just, they're just two very, very special people. And I'm very, very lucky to have them in my life, along with my other two sisters. I worked under DJ Enterprises for a number of years. And it's funny, I had no idea how to sell. I was just like, what do you mean? What do I have to do? She's like, well, you got to get clients. I'm like, really? Like, how do you get clients? I have no idea. Clients? What's a client? You know? I mean, I could tell you how to play a C major scale, but I had to go out and talk to people. And I was like, I've never done that before. So I started in the Yellow Pages, and I just was like, opened this giant phone book. I was like, okay, let me call this place. Hello, my name's Steve. I'm working with DJ Enterprises. I'd like to talk to you about shirts. No. Hello, my name is Steve. I'd like to talk to you about shirts. No. 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 I got 40 no's. I was like, this is not good. I didn't know what was wrong, you know, but then I didn't really know what I was doing. I've never done this before. So I opened up the Yellow Pages. In the middle, it was like big, thick Yellow Pages. And there was an ad on both pages. And it said, Tom's Ribs. I was like, oh, this is a pretty big ad. So I called them up and I was like, hello, my name's Steve. My company's name is DJ Enterprises, and I want to know if you might be interested in having me talk to you about t-shirts. And George answered the phone and he said, yeah, sure, I'd love to talk to you. And I was like, huh? Excuse me? What did you say? He's like, yeah, come on by. I was like, are you kidding me? Of course I didn't say that. I was like, great, I'll be there in 2 minutes. I got in the car, drove there. I mean, getting the call was one thing, but like talking, I had no idea what I was even saying. I've never sold anything. I didn't even know how to silkscreen or what silkscreening was. And so I got there and I was like, hey, can I see your shirts? And so he showed me his shirts and I was like, I can do that. In truth, I've never done it before. I had no idea how to do it. But he gave me like all of his shirts. He's like, we do embroidery, we do hats, we do silkscreening, and there you go. And I was like, great. So I left with a box of his merchandise. And I took it home and I was like taking pictures and sending to Debbie. I'm like, look, we can do this, and we can do this, and we can do this. And I had no idea how to do it. So then she's like, you gotta find a silkscreener. And I was like, really? So she started making some calls. And lo and behold, we found Shirt Masters. I'll talk about them at some other time. But it was crazy in the beginning. It was just crazy. I had no idea what I was doing. But for the first time, I realized that not everybody needed a bass lesson, but everybody needed a t-shirt. And I was finally providing something to people that they really needed. Not what I thought that they needed, which is classical music, but what they really need. Everybody needs a t-shirt. Everybody needs a shirt. Polo shirt, t-shirt. And what I didn't realize was when I was creating my tools, my learning, my failures, I started utilizing the ideas of becoming a classical musician and transferring it into a business of t-shirts. And the way that I would think about music, the clarity, the ideas, how to put things together organically, structurally, was exactly how I was doing t-shirts. And the great thing was that once it was set up, it would just keep going, keep going, keep going. It wasn't like art where you play a concert on Saturday and then on Sunday it could sound very different. There's a lot of variables. The conductor might want to take a little bit of rallentando, or he might want to rush. You got to go with him, make music, and be beautiful. Every night is an event. It's a different performance. With t-shirts, it's like, set it, forget it. It just keeps going. The same exact thing over and over and over and over again. And it's a beautiful thing. You don't have to worry about there being any, a different experience. It's just like, once you have the art done, you can make 1 or 1,000 or 100,000. What I didn't realize at that time was that the t-shirt business was becoming my benefactor, because I loved making shirts, but it was actually supporting my classical music, because as my entrepreneurial spirit started growing, I started worrying less about making money from the symphony. So as my business grew, my love for the arts exploded, because I'm not looking at it as money or a job. I'm looking at it as a gift, a blessing, to be able to play Mozart, Stravinsky, Brahms, Mahler. There's nothing in my mind that could compare to these performances, studying the greatest minds that's ever walked the planet. And having a way of creating a nourishment, a financial nourishment, to where I don't have to worry about losing my job, has let me just unabashedly just take off in a purely artistic endeavor. So when I'm on stage, it's where I want to be. And I'm around the people that I want to be with. The love for the music, the love for my colleagues on stage has grown exponentially through the years. I started playing when I was 14 and I'm 52. And I love the performances now more than ever. And it's because I've diversified my portfolio of life, of revenue streams, into something that I would never, ever want to change. Had I won a job in the Philadelphia Orchestra, these life experiences that I have, I'm sure I would have never found them. I found my experiences through failure. One calamity after the other, after the other, after the other. I cannot tell you how many times things just didn't work out. And I've learned that those are not negative. Those are an opportunity to grow. So, anyway, it's late, and I've got a meeting at Geekdom at 9 about Google. Geekdom's a great place. I really love it. I can go down just 24 hours a day on Houston Street and get on the internet and do some business. It's like a little office. It's very inexpensive. It's wonderful to have here in San Antonio. And then we have an opera rehearsal at the Alvarez Theater at the Tobin Center. And then we have I think it's not coronation. That's next week. We have a fiesta rehearsal. And then my evening's done. I'll probably go to the gym and work out. Yeah, I'm looking forward to wrapping this up tonight. I want to thank you for watching it. Wow, 26 minutes. This is is a blog. What is it, a vlog? I'm going to post this on my Facebook page. Tony Robbins talks about if your life is worth living, you should keep a journal. Well, I'm not a big fan of spending the time to write. I would much rather have a video journal to document my life. It's been a ride, let me tell you. Anyway, till we meet again, I hope that you guys have a great evening, and thank you for watching. ZWorshirts.com